24-year-old Heidi Bernadzikowski is dead. Her live-in boyfriend, Stephen Cook, the one who found her.
My girlfriend's been murdered.
What happened? Was she shot?
No, she's cut. Her throat's cut.
Investigators have Cook down at the station. He shows them multiple receipts as proof he wasn't there at the time of the murder. And he wants cops to know he never would have killed the love of his life. They had big plans for their future.
There were some plans to be married, and I guess during that period of time is when they decided to get these insurance policies.
Some pretty hefty insurance policies. One on Stephen for $900,000 and one on Heidi for $700,000.
Of course, once we heard about the amount of the policies, yeah, we were a little concerned about that, knowing what we knew about their income and how their house was.
He's working at Lowe's.
Right. He's working part-time at Lowe's.
And she's working as a full-time receptionist.
Right.
And he says what?
When I asked the insurance agent, he said they were planning for their future.
But Stephen says forget about the insurance policies. He has information on something much more relevant.
So Stephen proceeds to tell us that there had been some issues.
Issues that could point them in the direction of Heidi's killer. The first troubling incident happening a few weeks before Heidi was murdered.
Heidi's home alone on the phone with a friend, and a man comes to the door, and he tells her that he's interested in starting a neighborhood watch program. But she doesn't know him from the neighborhood. He's kind of scary to her.
Heidi had actually described the neighborhood block watch guy as a larger, light-skinned black male or a dark-skinned, maybe Mediterranean, white male with black hair. He had this tattoo on his left arm that she drew on a piece of paper for the girls that worked in her office.
She drew it?
She drew it.
And then, the very day before the murder, there was this.
The back door seemed to have scratches around the lock.
It appeared that someone had been trying to tamper with the basement door lock. Stephen says that terrified Heidi, so he did something about it.
He goes to the rental agency to demand that they change the locks for him.
Investigators have a lot to follow up on. For now, Stephen Cook is free to go, but cops aren't ruling him or anyone else out.
We let him leave headquarters that night, and we just had to continue our investigation.
And also notify Heidi's family of the tragic news. Heidi's brother, Francis Bernadzikowski, who is on a Navy ship deployed overseas, gets a message his father is on the phone. When he answers, his dad can't seem to get the words out.
I remember getting on the phone and my father, he was kind of almost trying to make small talk, and I was like, Dad, I know there's something wrong. Tell me what happened. You know, and he's like, I'm trying to find a way to say it. Eventually he did.
Did you have an immediate gut feeling as to who did this to her?
No.
Police are stumped too. But as the weeks go by, and after interviewing about 100 people, they may have caught a break when they learn about a man named Terry Gilliam.
I find out that Terry Gilliam worked at the Safeway store with Stephen's sister. He is a butcher. I'm thinking, okay, I've got a girl whose throat was slit. He's a butcher. Natural step would be find out what he was doing on the day of the murder.
Meyer says his suspicions grow even stronger when he pulls Gilliam's time card for the day in question.
It's a computerized printout. The day of the 20th, the day of the murder, it's handwritten, and it's actually handwritten over again.
Oh my goodness.
So I'm thinking, okay, I may have my guy.
They arrest Gilliam on another charge and bring him in for questioning.
The focus at that point was on Terry. Why that time card wasn't matching up that day, the fact he was a butcher. Also, he had a tattoo.
He did. It wasn't in the same place, and it wasn't of the same style that Heidi had described. I was more concerned at the time that his alibi for work didn't really fit.
Ultimately, there isn't enough to charge Gilliam with Heidi's murder yet. So they let him go, but his name remains at the very top of their list.
I certainly thought I had my guy. So I just kept digging and digging on Terry.
Over time, a lot of time, the case goes cold. Meyer is promoted out of the homicide division, but never gives up on finding Heidi's killer. Then, 11 long years after she was so savagely murdered, the technology catches up with the police work.
Boom, got the hit.
Coming up, fingernails, DNA, and a man 7 states away.
Over the years, even though he wasn't assigned to the homicide unit, Al kept talking to people, re-interviewing people, looking at phone records. I mean, he just kind of stayed on.